So today we had our premiere and we did audience feedback and we gained like different response from all these several different questions, and we're going to do like an overview of like the trends that we saw and like what we could see that we could have improved from their feedback.
So first off, before we actually done like the premiere, we actually created a questionnaire which can be seen here. These are the questionnaires that we created. So in order for us to create these questionnaires, we first like looked at real like media products in terms of like the questionnaires that like film productions actually like ask the audience in like when they're releasing their film and they're not quite sure. So like in terms of the trailer, they may like create a little trailer and then ask the audience for feedback. So some of the elements we have to do like further research and planning in finding out what sort of questions are asked and how it's phrased and roughly how many questions are asked, because we didn't want to like overwhelm our audience with so many questions and then them just sitting there like okay. And also we chose to use mixed method in a sense that we use both qualitative and quantitative, because we wanted to gain Verstehen as well, which is understanding, as well as like knowing let's say the amount of people that found certain elements scary. So hence why that's where the quantitative data comes from.
Yeah, so it enabled us to gain a deeper understanding of our target audience.
Yeah.
And whilst we made decisions in our magazine post and trailer, we could then use the data which we gathered to justify.
Yeah, to justify why we done it.
Yeah.
And like what audience thought. So it's basically the whole product is for our audience. So we have to keep bearing in mind that is what our audience requires, what we actually need to produce. So we thought it was good in using both quantitative and qualitative.
What was your favourite scene within our trailer Insanity and why? It was evident that there was a variety of different scenes that people liked, and one of them was when Flora was spinning with her doll, and they said that they enjoyed it, I quote, as it was quite airy and as she was presented as quite innocent. So
at the beginning, however, later on you find out that she wasn't.
And so it links to the idea that different elements within our trailer did work, but throughout the different questions we revealed that there were some things that we could have improved.
Yeah, which we'll be touching on later on. The second question is, what element made you scared the most? So including like sound, objects, shots, etc. And then basically this was the quantitative, in a sense that we asked, like these were the selections that they could tick. So like the speed of the editing, so like the pace, the sound and music, objects, so e.g. iconography, and other. So other could be anything that we weren't intending for it to be scary, but it actually ended up being scary. And from this, that we found out that a lot of our audience found that the sound and the music were like made them scared the most. I think this was ironic because when we first conducted our target audience, a lot of them didn't talk about sound. So we were initially thinking, should we include sound as in the question to see if it actually works well. So when we actually done the further like research and planning, that's when we found out that actually maybe we want to find out if sound actually scared them and why it did. And I think with the development of Web 2.0, we were able to collect like different like sounds from YouTube. So like for example, the creepy doll song that we used in our trailer, we actually got that from YouTube and then converted it. So we thought that it was good. Yeah. And then also they found that the iconography was scary, which obviously we touched on before, because they didn't like the idea of like didn't like the idea of like someone playing with a knife or blood, because it evoked a reaction much more than what they intended to.
Yeah, and we also showed this in our draft trailer.
Yeah.
And there was a knife. The rough cut. And it was evident that they also found this effective when we were showing our fellow peers. So we thought that if we did use a knife again, it would then affect our audience, so in terms of evoking the reaction of fear, which is often portrayed in horror.
So adding on to that, from like post-production, we purposely like made sure that the music synced well with like the action, so the shots, the type of shots that's like used. So if it was like a fast pace, we weren't going to use like a slow, you know, kind of romantic like music. We used a like climatic one, so the one that would evoke a reaction. So like let's say one that the tempo would increase as like the action, like the pace of the action increased as well. And in terms of the iconography, which we've stated like before, we made sure that we use speed manipulation, where we slowed that down a bit, in a sense, like as a way of evoking the audience reaction, because it stayed with the audience's mind a lot more. Because, for example, instead of it staying for like 2 seconds, we doubled that to 4 seconds, because when we done our rough cut and we showed it to our peers, they said that at first the knife bit was a bit fast, so it's kind of like flashes, so it wasn't as effective. And they said that, oh, maybe we should slow that down in order for it to like evoke a reaction. So that's what we ended up doing. So that's why we chose to slow that particular scene down a lot more, because that's what our audience wanted. And we found that this was effective during the premiere, because a lot of them kind of like cringed when that part came. So yeah.
So question 3, what was the least effective scene in your opinion and why? So when looking through the different questionnaires, I realised that it was the scene with Kenrika, as they wasn't sure how this linked to the narrative.
Which is Jane.
Yeah, the mother of Flora. And there was a scene when Francesca was running, plays Megan, in the woods, and they found that this scene was too long, and some people also said that it didn't sync with the music. And there was also the scene with
the psychiatrist scene, actually.
Yeah. So
that's the bit I played, and I think it was only one person that stated it, saying that she thought that it wasn't realistic or revealed too much of the narrative.
Yeah.
I think it was in a case of revealing too much of the narrative, because it's a good point, because we had not considered this, like the fact that we didn't want to reveal too much of the narrative, because if we reveal a lot of the narrative, your audience will not less likely to watch your product anyways, because you already know what's happened. So it's like, if you already know what's happened, what's the point of you actually going to pay money to watch it? So we thought that was a really like good point. So the fourth one was how do you feel about the portrayal of young female protagonist, so Flora, in our trailer? Really touched on this. A lot of them liked the fact that she was subverted. So they liked the fact that she wasn't the innocent little girl who liked like daisies and flowers and unicorns. Like they liked the fact that she was like twisted, because like they said it was different from other like horror trailers that they had seen, because they weren't really expecting a little girl to play like such an evil character. So a lot of them actually remembered that like the most, in terms of like the character of Flora, because I think the way she was played so well, the person that we used, the actor, like Safia, she played it really well. She took directions a lot easier. So us, for directors, we found it easier to direct her in the emotion we wanted to the emotion we wanted her to portray, especially the fact that she's such a young child. So we thought that was really effective.
So it makes it more shocking because she's young, and it also brings more life to the horror industry, because they don't really present young people as villains.
Yeah, I think also in the sense of enigma, because like you weren't sure, oh my gosh, you want to be like, oh, why is she acting this way? Like, what's kind of like happened to her for her to be so sinister, for her to be so distant from like the like common value systems within society and stuff. So yeah.
And then the last question, which is question 5. From viewing the trailer, would you now go and watch the movie, and why? And it was evident that most people would want to watch
a lot of them. I don't think anyone.
There was one person,
and she said that, or she or he said that they wouldn't watch it just because they're not into the horror theme or genre as a whole. So, and
they're not who we're trying to target anyway. We're trying to target people who
are interested.
Yeah.
So I think overall our audience feedback was effective, because we're able to see if our product engaged them. If it was scary, which was the brief, we have to make a scary trailer. So I thought it was good that we put this question in because we wanted to know, like, if we actually met the brief of making our trailer scary. Because I think for us here, we have become desensitized to the whole trailer. When we watch it so many times, you don't really find it as effective.
Yeah. So you're not able to see mistakes or what you can improve.
Yeah, you don't really see like the scariness because you're so used to like seeing the trailer over and over again. So it was really helpful that, and it was really good that our audience felt that it was scary, because for us, we were kind of worried that it may not necessarily be as scary as we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, it was a really good feedback. Thank you.